ChristianCameLink.com. Thanks so much for joining me. It's just a little bit. All right, I think we're good to go. So while we're waiting on a few people to join us, before we get started, I want to go ahead and take a minute to remind you about my book, The Tax Sale Playbook, which is right here. It is the ultimate guide to buying and selling tax defaulted real estate, and it's completely free. I want to get a copy in your hands. I'm getting lots and lots of amazing feedback about this book, and I want to get it shipped out to you. Again, the book's free. It's not like an ebook or anything like that. It's an actual book, 198 pages. Go to taxsaleacademy.com, input your information. All that asks is you pay for the nominal shipping cost, which is like $4.97 inside the domestic United States. Hey, thanks, Derek. Appreciate your comment. So guys, if you have not yet had a chance to read the book, again, go to taxsaleacademy.com, cover shipping. It'll get it from my warehouse to your front door. So today, we're going to be talking about research. When it comes to tax sale investing, research equals results. And the deal is, you don't hear a lot of people talking about research or advertising like research or anything like that, because it's not prestigious, it's not like sexy, it's not something you really brag about, right? You don't want to go around to the neighborhood and say, hey, I researched properties today. But instead, you want to go around to the neighborhood and say, or to your friends or whatever you're chatting about, whatever is going on in your life, you might want to say, hey, I did really good on that tax sale investment. I made a lot of money, or I did this, or I did that, or look what I bought for this amount of money. Whatever you want to do, a lot of people love to brag, and that's, whatever, that's their prerogative. But nobody wants to talk about tax sale research, right? But the deal is, you can't have any results whatsoever without the research. Research is everything when it comes to tax sale investing. Guys, if you do lousy research, you're going to get lousy results. If you do good research, you're probably going to get good results, right? So here's what we're going to do. In today's live stream, we're going to be discussing a few tools that you can use to research. Derek, just saw your comment. Hey, as far as the email, if you go to taxsaleacademy.com, I believe it's /contact or maybe /contact-us. And you can submit a request right through there. That way it gets filtered to me and that kind of stuff. Because they have a lot of emails, a lot of random stuff, just to make sure I don't miss it out. But if you go to, again, taxsaleacademy.com /contact or contact-us. Not sure which one it is, but it'll definitely get you there. So also, as far back to the stream, guys, when it comes to research, there's going to be 7 tools that we're going to be discussing in today's live stream. Now, there's all sorts of other tools that we use. Go over lots of them in the book, and a few of these I touch on in the book. In the Academy, we go lots, quite a bit of detail. But these are just 7. There's only so much I can do on live stream, right? So when it comes to the tools, let's talk about these 7. The first one, property appraiser reports. And guys, this is the first place that I start when I start researching any individual property. This is right where I go right off the bat, okay, to figure out, is it worth looking at any further, or is it not looking at? I just put it aside, or I actually want to continue investing my time in researching this property, right? So as you know it, every piece of property has a tax bill. So we're going to really kind of work backwards here. You basically have taxes that are paid, and that's because of the tax bill, and that's because of the value of the property, and the value of the property is because of the improvements of that property. So what happens is the county will, issue a tax bill, and they can't just say, hey, your property, you owe us $1,000. So they actually have to go out, they value the property, of course, and they put a value on, your shed, your house, your fence, your driveway, your pool, your hot tub, whatever fixture, permanently attached to that piece of property. They'll put a value on, and they will tax you in just about every area, right? Now, the deal is they can't say that, yeah, your property taxes are going to be based off $100,000. They actually have to have records to prove that, because the deal is, they might have made a mistake, they might have issues, the next year they got to figure out where to start from. So, and the reason they do that is, if I walk in there and say, hey, why did you base my taxes off $100,000? They can't just say, oh, we pulled it out of thin air. So they have this actual report. They have all this information that they valued, that they got that value because of all this information they put together. It starts with the land. Your land is worth this. Your improvements are worth that. They value this, and of course your tax bill from there. So again, when it comes to all this information, they compile it into what is called a property appraiser report. So when I first look at a tax sale property, when I'm starting to research one, I'll go to that property appraiser report, and then I'll basically utilize their information that they did when they visited that piece of property. It's a kind of a genius system, right? It saves me the time from having to drive by every single piece of property. So this is a very, very valuable tool. So you can usually find them on Google, the property appraiser reports. They're very, very easy to get nowadays. I think most of the counties, unless it's a very small county, will have their property appraiser reports available online. If not, you might have to take a trip to your public records office, but that's not always bad, because you can learn quite a bit of stuff while you're there. Okay, next one, GIS. GIS stands for Geographical Information Systems. It's incredible, robust, and powerful software for us as tax sale investors. Now, if you're not familiar with GIS, just know number one, it can be very expensive and it's not available everywhere. But if it is available, picture this. Picture that you're in an airplane, right? And you're flying over, your county. And you look down and there's all these lines. And all these lines are different boundaries of the properties. So, this property might be square, this property might be, rectangular, this property might be a flag lot, whatever the situation is. So you look down and you have all that. So it's a great way to locate the properties. But on top of that, picture like a blanket laying on top of it. So those are called layers. In these layers, these different colored blankets that you're seeing could be flood zones, could be school zones, could be voting, precincts, could be like city boundaries, county boundaries, could be zoning, could be fire hydrants, it could be the street names, it could be, the retention areas, it could be so many different things depending on the actual GIS system in that area. And again, those are called layers. So the most basic feature is the mapping program with the boundaries of the properties laid over them, and then you have different layers that lay on top of that. Now, some GIS systems, some of the cheaper ones for the counties, they might not have all these layers available. So, first off, if you have GIS, be thankful. If you have, the more layers you have, the more thankful you should be, because they are very, very helpful to us as tax sale investors. All right, the next one, Plat Maps. So every subdivision is a large piece of land that is broken down. So if you're looking at a subdivision at all whatsoever, it was once a large piece of land that was subdivided by definition, right? Pretty simple. So they took this large piece of land, they broke it down. Now it might be like 5/10 of an acre lots where they're very, very tiny. And I've even seen subdivisions all the way up to like 50, 100, 150 acre, lots basically inside of a subdivision that consists of thousands and thousands of acres. Now, when the developer does this, in just about every county, they're required to file what is called a plat map, which is basically a map that shows exactly all the street roads and all that good stuff. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to locate that property very, very easily. Now, if you have GIS, that plat map is gotta kind of be included in that GIS program. But if you don't have GIS, in those kinds where you don't have GIS, the plat maps will be your best friends when it comes to locating those properties. Now, obviously, there's some cross-referencing and stuff like that you have to do. But again, when it comes to locating these properties in the areas that don't have a whole lot of technology, you need to use the plat maps. And again, those are going to be public record, and they'll help you locate that property, which, in my opinion, is pretty important, right? The next one, Google. First off, let's talk about the search engine. Google, the search engine, right? Everybody has heard the term, just Google it. When it comes to tax sale investing, just Google it. Google the area, Google the subdivision, Google the parcel number, Google the address, Google everything you can about the property. Sometimes you won't find anything. A lot of times you'll find some very helpful information, and sometimes you might find some shocking information. I've actually, we've researched, hundreds of thousands of properties over the years, and one time I remember Googling this address, and it was actually the scene of a double murder. I think I might have even wrote about it in my book, but it's the scene of a double murder. And I was like, wow, that's not a piece of property that I'm really interested in now. So, some things might just shock you. So besides Google as a search engine, Google also offers mapping programs. Now, google.com, I think it's /maps. And you can have the basic mapping program. Most people have used it. You can type in the address. You can also type in 2 cross streets. Maybe you're trying to cross-reference and figure out where a piece of property is at, that kind of stuff. You can measure on there. You can get directions to it. You can find all sorts of information on their mapping program. But let's take it a step further. They also have something in certain areas that is known as Google Street View, which is a phenomenal program. It's really, really helped us to, kind of progress over the years. 10 years ago, you had maybe some very, very grainy aerial footage. Now you have some decent aerial footage, but you also have Google Street View. And quite literally, now first off, this isn't available in every area, but quite literally, it is a vehicle that has a pole sticking up, and on top of that pole, it has a dome shape, it's probably about this bigger, so it has lenses like cameras all the way around it. So as this car drives down the road, it takes pictures of everything around it, 360 degrees. And then, of course, through the magic and the technology of Google, they take these photos and then they're geotracked. And basically, when you go onto Google Maps, if it has Street View, you click on it, you can drag the little guy over to the, the road and walk down the road as if you're walking down the road. Now, obviously, you have to pay attention to the dates. Some of the Google Street Views might be 7, 8, 9 years old. And guys, properties can burn down pretty quickly, so you need to take that into consideration, but it'll at least give you an idea of what's going on in that area. The next resource, the next tool is going to be the MLS, Multiple Listing Service. This is the database that is used by realtors. Nearly every property that's been listed or sold through a realtor will be shown on the MLS. Now, not all tax sale investors are realtors. In fact, most are not realtors. And if you know my story, you know that I'm a realtor, but a lot of times I'd say don't go that avenue because it kind of skews your vision. So guys, the deal is when it comes to MLS, it's a very, very, very powerful tool, very powerful resource. The good news is because of how powerful it is and because of the internet, over time, the Realtor Association said, hey, we've got to get this information out to the consumer. And the way they did this is through a software called IDX, Internet Data Exchange. And what that does is it takes the MLS system and shows it to the public. At least it shows certain information to the public. So what you need to do is when you're researching the area, find a local realtor that has an IDX capable website and use their information. Research it. Now, obviously, some realtors and some IDX websites will have much more features and filters and everything else. So find the one that's the most robust in your area. Utilize that resource. Take full advantage of it because, again, it'll provide a lot of information to you when you're trying to get comps and all sorts of stuff like that. The next one, Zillow. Consumers seem to love it. Realtors seem to hate it, but as an investor, you shouldn't love it, you shouldn't hate it, but you should absolutely utilize Zillow. It is a very, very powerful tool. Now, when I say tool, you need to use it to learn about market conditions, what's selling, that kind of stuff. But obviously, you need to probably have a second opinion, a second way to verify a lot of that information as well. Now, it's also something that's very, very user friendly, and it'll allow you to learn areas, just by scrolling through them on the computer if you're not local. But if you are local, download the Zillow app, right? And obviously do it in a safe manner, but as you're driving through a neighborhood, look at the app, say, hey, that property sold for this property sold for that. It's a great, great, great way to educate yourself. So again, Zillow.com, browse the area, great resource. However, please, guys, do not ever, ever, ever use their valuations in your business. Again, don't use the valuations of any computer system, any automatically generated valuation program. I think Trulia has them, Realtor.com, all these programs say, your property is worth about this. This is our estimate. Guys, completely ignore that information. Sometimes it's right. A lot of times it's wrong. You need to learn how to value properties if you're going to be investing in tax defaulted real estate. You cannot go off Zillow or any of the computer generated estimates. Guys, that's a huge pet peeve of mine. People are like, oh, the Zillow value is this or the Trulia value is this. Guys, those are computer numbers. They have algorithms and all sorts of other stuff. They're incredible systems, and again, sometimes they're right. But guys, you're investing your hard-earned money based on a computer program, which is completely silly to me. You need to base it on common sense, and you need to figure out how to value properties before you actually invest based on some sort of computer-generated program. Okay, the last tip is going to be the local websites. And this is kind of a big one that's often overlooked. Most towns of any size will have local websites of some sort. They're going to be a great, great resource for you. It might be like, if the name of your city is Jonesville, it might be jonesville.com, or it could be jonesvillerealty.com, or it could be, I don't know, jonesvilleentertainment.com, whatever that is. Find that area. Maybe it's a new area to you. Start searching around the websites that exist, and a lot of them are going to be junk. A lot of them are going to be very useful, but eventually you're going to find something that a lot of people use in that area that has a great, can have a lot of great resources for you, and you can really learn about that area. With that said, also browse the social media channels, and we're not talking about just like real estate related stuff. Maybe search like, Jonesville News or Jonesville Schools, that kind of stuff. Look at the police department, the sheriff's department. All these places can give us all sorts of great, great information that will really help us when it comes to learning about the different areas, right? So again, don't overlook this stuff. These little websites, these little micro niche websites is what some people call them, that, maybe it's a very, very small are being ignored. So there you have it. 7 tools for your research, which again, ultimately equals your results. Property appraisal reports, GIS, Plat Maps, Google and Google Maps. We've shot a video on just about every single one that we've gone over. Just go to our YouTube channel. You can Google YouTube Tax Sale Academy. We have like over 400 videos now. Go to our channel, search for whatever you're looking for. If you want to look like GIS, just search GIS, and I guarantee we're gonna have a video. And then of course, if you're looking for more detailed training on that specific tool, we have that for you inside the Tax Sale Academy. We have very, very detailed training on all this stuff and many other tools that we utilize. And we also teach you not only how to use it, but how to be efficient, productive, and accurate when you use these tools. So that's it for today's live stream, guys. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. As always, for more information on tax sale investing, head on over to taxsaleacademy.com. Don't forget to grab your free copy of my new book, Tax Sale Playbook. Just take care of shipping, and we'll get it out to you, and you'll receive it in a few days. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.